is a little bit more applicable to my agency peeps, but I do think that there's something here for everybody depending on the type of business you're in. So, bear with me. I want to talk to you about retention, and retention through the lens of managing expectations. I think as an agency, the thing you should be not just managing for, but also selling to is retention. A lot of agencies manage for revenue. And so they're managed for spend. Like, hey, I'm trying to get as much spend out of these clients as we possibly can. That's such a slippery slope because you basically, there's this, I forget the name of this weird rule that they define, but in the realm of hiring, they said that a person is promoted to their first degree of incompetence, right? So you bring in like a junior, whatever, accountant, the junior CPA comes in and you're like, gosh, you're amazing. I'm going to make you a full CPA. And they do really well. And you're like, hey, you're doing really well. I'm going to make you a senior CPA. And they're like, oh, you're crushing this. And I'm going to make you an executive vice president. And they hit executive vice president and now they suck. Well, that's where they stay. I'm not going to promote you any further. And, corporate America is structured in a way that it's kind of hard to like bring this person down. So everybody is rising to the first level that they suck at, and there shall they land. When you manage towards something like spend, what ends up happening is you push your clients towards spending more and more and more and more until it stops working, until whatever. And by the way, it stopped working doesn't mean the campaign stops working. Sometimes it means the client's business, like maybe they don't have the funnel for this. They don't have the sales staff. They don't have the pipeline. They don't have the materials. They don't have the ability to service all this. Who knows? But you keep pushing for more spend and pushing for more spend, and they keep agreeing because your revenue model is based off of spend, which is perfectly fine. It's actually, I think, one of the best ways to align yourself with the clients without being inside of their books. But if you push for that specifically, what ends up happening is you push them all the way up to the very first line of demarcation where that's uncomfortable for them, and then you stop, right? Unless you're paying a lot of attention and you start to peel it back. But generally, agencies that are managing towards spend, they don't have the infrastructure there to pull back. What I think should happen for your long-term profitability, I contend that if you're managing towards retention instead of spend, you're actually going to make more money over the long term and have happier clients. Here's what's really interesting. This is actually kind of sad to me, is I can't tell you how many times I'm not on a lot of sales calls now because we've got a whole sales team, but I still handle some. And even back when I was handling a bunch, I'd hear people say, oh my goodness, you're so honest. Because I'd tell them, hey, you probably shouldn't be running Google ads. Actually, I don't think it's going to work for this product or this industry or this service. Or I wouldn't run it unless you can spend at least this much. Or, this is so competitive in this service. I'd move over to, or maybe I'm just not the right fit. You don't want to pay an agency half of your spend. You take some courses, and I think you could do a lot of damage yourself if you did it this way. And people are like, oh my goodness, you're so honest. And I'm not Mother Teresa, right? Like I'm self-interested as much as anybody else. I think I'm a good person and I have solid values and all that good stuff. But really, I want clients that retain. So if I'm being honest with you, that's my very kind way of making sure I don't bring a client that's not going to be around. Because again, speaking to my agency people, you don't realize as a young agency, and I'm speaking from experience, you don't realize what failed clients cost you. You might be thinking like, I can get them on, for at least 90 days. I'll get 4 months of billing out of them and then we'll cycle them out and we'll bring somebody else. No, because that 4 months is going to be miserable because it's not working, right? If you don't believe it's going to work, don't bring them on. And if you bring them on and it's not working, they're going to be breathing down your neck, and they have every right to be. Your staff is going to be stressed out. You're going to be stressed out. Your vendors are going to be stressed out. It's not going to work. The whole time you've got one eye, on the client, the other eye on the door to see who else you can bring in behind them. And it's a horrible way to run a business. Manage to retention. Sell to retention. I'm going to share some numbers with you. Oh, this is the other thing before I share the numbers with you. You get to decide how it is that you measure all of your KPIs, retention included. Now, if somebody's buying your business, they might disagree, but I think this is an internal discussion. We tell clients it takes 90 days to prove concept. 50% of all Google Ads campaigns fail in the first 90 days. Now, you should have a better shot at it with us because we're smart, you're smart, you've proven concept, we're filtering clients out, etc. But there's still a risk. So when I'm measuring retention, if I want to manage for retention with my staff, with my sales team, with my whoever, and this is actually exactly how our sales team is incentivized, I keep that 90-day window in mind. So if you're going to tell your let's say your client management team or your specialist team or whoever that retention is their key performance indicator, And yet 50% of all Google Ads campaigns fail in the first 90 days, or whatever the number ends up being in whatever particular service line that you're in. Well, just don't, you get to draw that line, and then you get to measure accordingly. And I'll show you what I mean. Here's the solution state retention numbers. This is real, by the way. This is our data. I cut off our value because I didn't want to give you all actual revenue numbers, because I'm not going to open the Komodo like that. But first of all, look at this. I'm so proud of this. Like, I mean, we were teeny tiny. We were teeny tiny. And then we just kind of like, we've just exploded. You know, I mean, 200 clients is no joke. And you can see our total clients, the new clients that we brought on, and then you can also see the clients that we've lost. Now, if we lose a client that hasn't gone the 90 days, they're in yellow. If we lose a client that has gone the 90 days, they're in red. And you'll notice that we do very, very, very few of those. And generally, when I lose a mature client, it's usually because they've outgrown us. They're like, hey, this has gotten so big and it's so important, we have to bring it in-house. And that happens more often than not with mature losses. It's, y'all did a great job, you crushed it, you proved concept, thank you so much, we're bringing this in-house. Which it's something I'm proud of, but it's still like, I hate losing that. I hate losing that business because we tried so hard. You know, we worked so hard, and then we got to the pot of the gold, and then rainbow, and the client's like, this is my gold. And they're right. January looks bad, by the way, because it's January 10th right now. We haven't factored in all those numbers, so none of this is real. But we've got a 97.5% retention rate if I count clients who've reached 90 days. So if I start from day 91 and move forward, I have a 97% retention rate, and the average client lasts 14 months. And in the lifetime value, they're worth almost double. Almost double. Now, compared to clients that don't last 90 days, our retention rate is still a good retention rate. And, you know, agency retention rates in the 80% is great. So we're crushing life. But look at the average life in months. Clients that don't last 90 days, if I factor in the clients that don't last 90 days, it goes from 14 months to 9. Like, it's a huge drop. So I get to decide. And again, if you're grading your staff, if you're trying to come up with ways to make strategic decisions, I know the first 90 days is a gamble. And I'm generally not in every account, but we're not always profitable in the first 90 days. That's why it's so important that we don't bring people on that aren't going to work for us, because you want somebody that's going to be around for a long time. So I'd really encourage you, dig into your numbers, figure out where your profitability exists. And I think in many cases, you'll be surprised. We were surprised that I'm not going for high spend clients. I don't need people that are spending $1 million a minute. I need people that are going to be with me for a while. And we sell that way. We manage that way. And it's really proven to be very, very successful. So anyway, I hope that, you know, I'm sort of lifting the veil here, hopefully not to my detriment. And but if I'm learning something, then I want to help pass that along in as much as it could be worth anything. So I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know we actually know what we're doing. We shoot a video every single day, so if you want to be notified, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any input, don't hesitate to hit us up in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We get very little human interaction. Thanks for supporting our channel, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.